Okay, awesome. So we're recording now. So welcome to our team call tonight, guys. We're so excited about our guest tonight, and thanks to Rod for talking with David and getting him on our team call. We really, truly appreciate this. We're all big fans, but we have a lot of new people. So a lot of new people that have not been to events or heard you or know much about Isagenix yet. So I'm really excited for them to hear from you. And we just know how busy you are, 2 little girls, businesses you're running. You guys have a lot of ventures, which we love to hear about on the call tonight. So we really genuinely appreciate
it's my pleasure.
And that you're taking the time on the call tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So you wanted to name it?
Yeah, David. Hey, yeah, I just want to say thanks again. We really appreciate this. Really, really, really appreciate it. So first, these people not knowing, we have a lot of newbies here, a lot of people that haven't been to Celebration. So kind of wanted just you to share your story of how you got involved. But first I wanted to let these people know that, David and Angelique are 9-star Crystal executive. They were couple of the year for Isagenix. And then David also kicked off Celebration last year in Nashville for all of us.
Yeah.
So yeah, just with these people, to get them, more excited and more fired up, just share your story with, how you got involved.
Okay. So, hi everybody. And I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight and giving me a little bit of your evening. I know how important it is. And so I want to honor that. I have been with Isagenix since 2012, the very beginning. So I'll try and give you the cliff notes. I was in fitness my whole life. I was facing this perfect storm. I was on the verge of 40. I had we had our first child. And I was coming off a pretty decent shoulder surgery. So imagine somebody their whole life is in shape, feeling good. And then I look in the mirror one day and I'm like, who is this person that I see before me, right? Now at the time, how we found Isagenix was very organic. My wife was looking for a Super Bowl recipe. How many of you guys have had Super Bowl parties and you got to bring something or make something and you're like, well, what can I make that's healthy and at the same time fun? So she had competed with Lori Harder, my wife did, and she went to Lori's website and she saw this big Isagenix sign. And immediately she says, Lori and I had talked about never wanting to be sponsored because we didn't trust all of the proteins and stuff out there. So she thought, this is kind of weird that Lori's going against her word, and she took a sponsorship. So she called Lori, and she said, hey, what's going on with this Isagenix? And Lori basically explained, look, this is a product that I use and I love. They don't pay me in terms of being a sponsored athlete. I simply use it, but I get paid to bring in other people. So at the time, my wife wanted to lose baby weight because Ella was born in December. Remember, this is like the end of January, beginning of February. But how I came into it, I was dog tired. So how many people have seen resistance from anybody that says, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do it? That was me. That was me. And I want to remind you, in the last several years, as we've been around the top people in the company, what they call either the top 100 or the top 50, one thing that's very important for you to remember is, I would say 90%, if not higher, if not like 95% of those people in the top 50 and the top 100 all came in for a product experience. In other words, very few said, I want to engage in the business. Most people like us said, I'll try the product, but don't talk to me about Isagenix as a business. I'm not interested. And that's where we were. But I was basically a caffeine junkie, and my body had changed. So I was drinking like 7 to 8 cups of coffee a day just to get through my day. And I would come home and sit on the couch, and I'd be like, and Angelique's like, let's go out for a walk or let's exercise. And I'm like, babe, I got 2 choices. Either I drink another cup of coffee at 6 and I can't sleep tonight, or I'm here on the couch because my adrenals were that exhausted. So she got me to try the shakes. 2 weeks into it, she's like, how do you feel, right? And not even really realizing it was this really organic, natural experience. I stopped to think about it. And I said, here's the crazy part, babe. Like, I'm not stopping for coffee. Now, it's not like I'm driving by the coffee shops and being like, oh, I want coffee. It just didn't come to me. And I had energy at the end of the day. So here's my big aha moment, and then this will wrap up the introduction. I asked her, I said, babe, you know more about nutrition than me. So I got to figure this out here. It doesn't make sense. I went from like 7 or 8 cups of coffee down to 1 or 2 in the morning. Okay, drastic difference. This shake, I'm only doing the shakes now. That's the only thing that she could convince me to do at first was just the shakes. But you're telling me the shake doesn't have caffeine in it and it doesn't have stimulants in it, yet here I am getting through my whole day and having energy. So what is the magic potion here? What am I missing? And she said, basically, you need to look up minerals and what they do for the body, because I was minerally deficient. Even though I was exercising and I care about my protein, on a macronutrient and micronutrient scale, I was minerally deficient. And one of the things I learned are that minerals are one of their primary responsibilities is to help you turn your food into energy. So just because you're eating food doesn't mean that you're turning that food into energy if you're not getting the right micronutrients. So that made sense, and that's how I said yes.
Thank you.
That's awesome, David. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm sure you remember, but you did an event with Angelique at a little boutique gym in Delray Beach, Florida, a few years ago. So that was one of my first times actually saying, you know what, I'm going to go to see what this is all about, because we were using the products. But we were a little bit, well, not a little bit, probably a lot, had a big block about network marketing. We just, being fitness, in the fitness industry, we had so many network marketers come to us, so we had that block. And I remember hearing from you guys, and you were great, by the way. It was the first time I met you guys. And somebody had walked by and asked if this was an MLM company. Mm-hmm. And you told us, the guy that was just in the gym walking by us, and you said, yes, it's network marketing. And you said, you have to take ownership of that. Yeah. Right. And I have to tell you, I was like hearing what you were saying, but I was like, because I had to really build my belief on that for a while. Mm-hmm. So I know that you started out for the products too, as did most people on this call. I think almost everybody. What was a major shift, or if you have a few, where you just really were able to take ownership of I'm a network marketer, this is a network marketing company. Like, what were some of the key things for you?
Okay, so first of all, a little distinction. Remember, because you said 2 things. You said MLM and network marketing. So, semantics I found out along the way, were important. And I found out that, what the multi-level thing was not what Isogenics was, but certainly we're a network marketing company. In other words, you use your network to leverage your business. The one thing that I had to really grab was, this is my personal experience. And the beautiful thing about this type of business is that you can craft it however you like, as long as you're compliant. So as long as you're not out there making promises, you can use whatever skills you have, and you can use whatever kind of enthusiasm you want to build your team. No 2 people have to do it alike. Now, the great thing about it is you can grab stuff from this team. You can grab stuff from that mentor. You can grab stuff from that people and say, hey, I like the way they're doing it. Let me try this, okay? Now, if you've never done this, it's scary. Yes, raise your hand. If you've never done it, it gets kind of scary. But here's the thing. In any other business, they tell you what you can make. They tell you what you're worth. And you're at the mercy of an employer who can let you go at any time. And God's honest truth is, we had really, really good jobs when we got into this. And the big aha moment was, imagine that you're laser focused on your corporate career. We were in medical device sales at the time. And we were laser focused, but authentically, we were using these products and telling people about them authentically. And when I say authentically, it's like, we didn't know much about the business. We were really just so enthusiastic that we got people to say, okay. Now, the big aha moment was when we started paying for an electric bill. That was the first thing. You mentioned Florida, Gina, right? In Florida in the summer, your air conditioning runs all year long. So when you guys open a bill, or if you're in the winter time and you're up north and you open a heating bill, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of money. So with that extra money that we were making on the side, I said, great, pay the bill, pay the electric bill, okay? First thing. The next thing is, oh my gosh, Who has cable? Do you guys have cable? Next thing you know, we have 50 channels and pay-per-view and all this stuff. And I'm looking at the cable bill and I'm like, wow, we pay a lot for cable. Thank God for Isogenics. Ange, let's pay the cable bill with Isogenics. That's 2 things, okay? Got a car payment. We're doing good. We're doing both jobs in the pockets of our day. Hey, that car payment, Isogenics money. A couple of months later, that second car payment, Isogenics money. Then we start paying off our mortgage. So heating bill, cooling bill, cable, car payments, mortgage. And then we're like, we're not even looking into this. Like, we're not even really pushing it because we're so laser focused on what we're doing. So the aha moment was, wow, we can make this money in the pockets of our day. Now, what's happened though, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, is network marketing went social media, internet in like 2015. Remember, we started in 2012, organic, a little bit of Facebook. 2014, 2015, it's like everybody wants to do it. So what you guys are lucky is you have to have a great product with a great compensation plan and a great company, because what happens is when anything is good, right, what do people try and do? They try and copy it. They want a piece of the pie. Think about like iPods, think about phones, think about whatever you use most that's successful. And everybody like, now there's a new one. Here's a new brand. Here's a new brand. But what happens? Cream rises to the top. And all the other ones that try to copy it that didn't have a solid foundation will fall to the side. So my big aha moment was making extra money in the pockets of our day, and then realizing that our comp plan, realizing that our corporate policy, and realizing that the product were years and years and years of development. And this company was a rock. This company was not going to be like those other ones who said, I'll try it. And so if you've only been in for a little bit of time, how many people here have been in, like, let's say less than 6 months? Raise your hand, less than 6 months. Okay? How many people less than 2 years? So like anything else, you are building your business. If somebody gave you cash to start a brick and mortar, let's call it a pizza shop, let's call it a laundromat, or let's call it a home gym, whatever, or a gym store, whatever you want to do. It's going to take you some time to build that up, but it's yours. Now you don't have the overhead. You don't have to do fulfillment. You don't have to pay anybody's checks or sign anybody's checks. You don't have to take care of customer service. So it gives you all the benefits of owning your own business with none of the headaches. And no boss going over you saying, hey, you're going to get fired, or we just found somebody to replace you at a cheaper price, so you're out of here. So when you think about the opportunity that network marketing presents, the benefits are great. The only thing you have to do is get out of your head and say that I'm not looking at another team. I'm not looking at another company. I'm not looking at my neighbor who might have had a bad experience with another company. All I know is this is what I have to do to control my destiny and then move forward with that.
I love that.
Love it.
So, question about the opportunity. You guys obviously saw it and then ran with it. And I don't know if there was a pivotal time that you just kind of were like, that's it, we're going for it. I've seen your guys' growth and it's been amazing to watch. But can you tell us, like, how has just being part of this opportunity and what the freedom and the income provided?
Oh, yeah.
Helped you with your, what you were saying there, but also the other new ventures and like dreams that you guys had and passions that you were able to now pursue because of this.
Okay, awesome. So listen closely, guys. I want you to pay attention. Who here, and I'm being serious, who here has a dream? Raise your hand if you have a dream. Okay, it should be everybody, right? So a lot of times we see these dreams and they seem far off. Man, this is what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is what I want to do. Now, are you ready for a real life dream come true, no BS story? Yeah. Most of my life, I didn't have a good financial thermostat. I lived for the day and I didn't save. I didn't make a lot of money, but I was comfortable, but I never made a lot of money. So I meet this amazing woman, and for some reason our theme song for our wedding was Louis Louis Armstrong's La Vie en Rose. Does anybody know Louis Armstrong, La Vie en Rose? It's a great song. And our first date, which I still have the movie tickets to and it framed, was a movie called Paris. It's a foreign flick, and I figured I'm going to impress this chick, right? I'm going to take her to a romantic movie with subtitles that takes place in France. That'll impress her, right? That's what guys think. And then when she said yes at our wedding, I got I spent everything I had on an Eiffel Tower ice sculpture. So this is building. You see a theme here, right? So now it's our first anniversary. We haven't found Isogenics yet. I want to impress her, but I don't have enough money to take her anywhere except Disney World. Now, if you live in Florida, it's a 90-mile trip from Tampa, where we lived, to Disney World. We stayed at the Marriott. And then I went to Epcot and the country Paris, and I got a reservation at the restaurant. And being the romantic that I was, on eBay, I found a ticket, an original ticket. I think it's to the 1889 World's Fair in Paris, where they revealed the Eiffel Tower for the first time. So it's an authentic, real ticket from 1889. I believe that's the year. And I had it put in glass, and I said, I'm going to be a stud, and this is going to be this great present, because I think the first anniversary is paper. So we're having this meal, we're having a good time, small financial thermostat, and I go out and open my big mouth. And I say, out of the blue, not even planned, I say, babe, here's a ticket from the original World's Fair where the Eiffel Tower was first revealed. I'm going to take you to Paris within the next 10 years. We're going to see the real thing. Now, I don't know about you guys. 10 years is a long time, right? But it's a short time when you're not making a lot of money. Even though we had good jobs, we're not making a lot of money to take that kind of trip. So in my head, I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to get there? But I got 10 years. 3 years later, we're standing at the foot of the Eiffel Tower in Paris because of Isogenics. That's it. So we can't see it. We don't know. Whatever your dream is, for that it was a small dream. Maybe it's to send your kid to college. Maybe it's to have a new house. Maybe it's to move to another state. Maybe it's to have your dream car. Whatever it is, you got to be able to state it, throw it out there and see it, and then this is the vehicle to do it. Now, we won a contest for a free trip. So it was way better than if I would have planned it on my own. Isogenics puts us up at the Four Seasons in Paris. They closed one of the biggest museums where they have all the old, what's the guy that cut off his ear? Van Gogh, all of his paintings. They shut it down just for Isogenics and do a private tour. So way better than any expectations. And the point of this is because they reward people for hard work. We worked to win that trip probably harder than we've ever worked in our lives. But there's not a day that we don't look back and say, I would do it all over again. And when I say work, I mean the last day of the contest, we were on the road in North Carolina with a 2-year-old. We literally locked ourselves I remember that is when Frozen first came out. We locked ourselves in the bedroom, put on Frozen for our daughter, and we made phone calls all day because our backs were up against the wall. We were that close. But here's the thing. The whole point of this story is dream, rewards. Like, we worked our tail off, and then Isogenics exceeded our expectations. And that was really the catalyst to say, hey, you know what? It was like a small little morsel of what was to come. Because how many other companies will send you to Paris? Or how many other companies will give you the time freedom to work with your child, and work with your spouse, and work with your friends and neighbors? So I hope you can find the passion in that story, because it's a real story. And I gave myself a 10-year window. Little did I know in 3 years later what Isogenics would provide for us.
That's a really cool story, because we never know where their trips are, right? So
well, how many things can we buy on our own? In other words, I was a sports reporter before that. So my whole life, I wanted to report on sports. And I was at 2 Super Bowls, and I was at a couple national championship games, and I was on the sidelines, but it was work. Mm-hmm. So in Isogenics, and I still love sports, but now I got to go and relax, and I could still get great seats, and I could still go with my friends, but I wasn't working. So it all, like sports, Paris, that's not your dream. It might be for some of you, but you all held up your hand, and when you held up your hand, in that hand represented a dream that you know. And for some people it's small, for some people it's big. But this is the avenue. In other words, sometimes you can't find that dream with another job because the opportunity to make that kind of income isn't there. The opportunity to be rewarded isn't there. Angelique's mom worked for Bausch & Lomb for 20 years. And for her 15-year anniversary, they hand her this little magazine, and they mail it to her and say, hey, great job for 15 years. Pick out a present. And it was like little alarm clocks and stuff. And if you've ever done that, like blood, sweat, and tears for 15 years, and I get an alarm clock? That's what I'm worth to this company? You put that kind of work into something like Isogenics, and they reward their people for hard work. They reward them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. David, that's awesome. And, you guys coming off of, you guys are a power couple coming off of, that's, one big reason why you guys won Couple of the Year for Isogenics and how hard you guys work, and what a great team you guys are. So I rallied up a lot of males to jump on this call because I want them to find their avenue in a way to help out the spouse and make them not just a solo team, but make it a power team. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of opportunity on this team for there to be a lot of power couples.
Okay.
What's your advice on how to give them on how best to work with your spouse?
So I'm just going to look at everybody right now, and I do this because I realize that each one of you represents a dream, and we're going to go back to that. Each one of you represents hope. You're on this call giving up your valuable time. Most of you, some of you might have kids in another room. Some of you might have people waiting on you or dinner time, but you're here for a reason. So whether you're a couple or whether you're not, and whether you're male or female, it all comes down to this. I think that people work together because me and Angelique have worked together in the house, but we have to work with other personalities. And when I was in corporate America, I was managed by people, and I'm just not good at being managed. I'm not good at being coached in a strict form. I like being mentored, but I don't like being managed. But what we have to realize is that the beautiful part about this, whether it's a couple or you're just working on your team, is that you have strengths. And other people in your house or on your team have strengths. We encourage in network marketing for people to be a cohesive team and use their strengths, I think, more than any other industry out there. Maybe other than team sports, because team sports, in order to achieve a championship, people really have to bond and kind of form this bond of brothers or sisters. But in corporate America, I didn't see that a lot. People would step over you to get to where they needed to be. Angelique and I would have been fired. She was a manager, number one, but we found out a year after she quit and went full-time that they did away with her position. So we would have both been, like, that whole illusion of job security in corporate America is not there. But I want to get back to this team aspect. What are your gifts? And I think some people don't give themselves enough credit, or you're not dialing in on your gifts enough. So right now, I'm going to ask you to take like just 10 seconds. I'm going to be quiet because I really want to include every person on this screen. And I don't want you to sell yourself short. I want you to be a little bit egotistical in your own mind. And when I say think about what your real gifts are, I just want you to give yourself 2 or 3 really things you're like, I can do this good and this good. So just think about that for 1 second. Just take a moment. Okay. Who wants to share? Let's get 2 shares. Raise your hand if you want to share what you found out your gifts were. All right, I'll pick on Laura. Laura Maxakoulis. Did I say that right? Is that Greek? Is that Greek, Laura?
Maxakoulis. Yeah, it's Maxakoulis.
See, here's a lesson. One of my gifts, before I let you go first, and I'll tell you why I picked you. You go first. What's your gifts?
I'm still thinking about my gifts are. I wrote it down on paper here. I don't know what my gifts are.
Well, this is the first thing we need to do because, Rod's question was, how do we work as a couple? Or how do we work as a man? And really what it comes down to is your gifts. So I picked Laura because one of my gifts is I'm extremely, I would say I take a lot of chances in meeting people. People will say, hey, you're just outgoing, but that would assume that I'm just naturally outgoing. I have trained myself to take chances in meeting people. And remember, we are in a network marketing company. So you need to increase your network. So when I see Laura, I saw that last name and my wife is Greek. So it reminds me of the time I was in a line. How many of you guys have been in a line in the past week? In a coffee shop, waiting for food, in a mall, in a movie theater, where we find ourselves in line probably 3 or 4 times a week at the grocery store. And what do people do when they're in line now? Right? If you go look at your next time at a coffee shop and there's 7 or 8 people, see how many people are just with their heads down on their phone. So one of my gifts is I am just a steamroller when it comes to I'm going to meet people and I'm going to take chances. So I see this guy in the thing and he's got this big long name with a bunch of vowels, right? And it ends in an S. And I say, I think this guy is Greek. So I'm not just going to go up to him and say, hey, sir, are you Greek? I got to go up to him with some enthusiasm. So I go, hey, man, I know a Greek name when I see one. And he lights up. He's like, yeah, I'm Greek. He's like, are you Greek? And I said, no, but my wife's out in the car and she is. So this just starts this thing. And as they're pulling out, his wife rolls down the window, puts her head out the car and says, hey, we need your number. We want to hang out with you guys. So that's one of my gifts, okay? Now, I'm not really gifted with numbers. So that's where Angelique and I work together. And that's where the story comes together, Rob. I'm good at connecting. Angelique's really good with explaining details and numbers. For the first couple years of our business, I worked my tail off trying to get really good with numbers and explaining things with numbers, and it was frustrating. Until my mentor, Chris Harder, says, you're going against the grain. If you're a team and you're working as a team, why don't you excel in the things you excel at and let Angelique excel in the things that are in her lane, and that way you conquer more territory at once rather than you trying to do this and that. So there's another great quick example of in sports, Tiger Woods. So I read this article on Tiger Woods. He's a great driver. He drives for distance. He's one of the best drivers in the game. And he's awesome at putting. The weakest part of his game was what they call chipping, okay? Like getting it up onto the green. So he was obsessed with being an awesome short distance chipper. Until one of his golfing coaches says, wait a minute, you don't have to be the best chipper in the world. You're already the best driver. And you're already the best putter. Why don't you excel in those 2 things and just get good enough at chipping so you can handle your own. It's the same thing in this. Figure out what your gifts are and push them to the max. Find your spouse or your partner on your team and teammates or other people in the company who excel in the things you don't and work together. Now, if you do that, you're ultimately going to get better at the things you're bad at or not as good at, but you're really going to excel at your gifts. But you have to really hone in on what you're good at. And just like Laura, I guarantee it, if we talk to her for 15 minutes, there's a lot of things she's not giving herself credit for because we are humble by nature, or we just haven't been exposed to it. Before Isogenics, there was a lot of things that I didn't know I was good at. that if I would have stayed in corporate America, I might have never learned to do them better. Okay? One other person. We have time for one other person to check out their gifts?
I thought I saw Mickey raise her hand. Mickey, is that okay if I call on you? So I'm so excited that she raised her hand because she just enrolled. We actually met through Instagram, and she followed my post and reached out to me and wanted to look into everything, getting healthy and the opportunity. So she's just getting started, and I'm so excited that I saw her raise her hand. That's awesome. So Mickey, welcome. Thanks for being on the call too.
Okay, let me see. I don't know I can't see her, but Mickey, tell me what your gifts are when you thought about it.
I would like to help others.
Okay.
I really enjoy it. And in regards to helping others that have autoimmune issues or just health within itself.
Okay, so you have a big heart and you have a heart for people and helping others, which is one of the most essential things in order to be successful. Now, are there any things that you can admit to us that maybe you're not as good at? Like, what do you think you need to work on the most?
Numbers. I'm like you. It's hard in regards to numbers. I need to work on that.
Okay, so there's two things. You have teammates that are probably good at numbers. You have mentors or other people in your upline or crossline or downline. And then we have a lot of videos that really explain things. Now, the last time you went to buy a car, Mickey, did you ask that guy how the engine worked that was selling it? And did he have to know everything about the car? Or did he just maybe show you a brochure or tell you, hey, it's this kind of engine?
I'm really picky when it comes to that, so I have to know everything. My
Okay,
dad.
but the salesman, the person who is selling you the car doesn't. They're giving you the framework. They're telling you what the features of the car are, but they're not telling you the intricacies of the engine. So it's the same thing with you. You guys have to be good at telling the features and leave the hard stuff that you don't feel comfortable with to the videos and the tools, right?
Okay. Yes.
The other part about having a heart for people is, and men, getting back to what Rod's question was, there's a lot of people who have come into this business who have said, I love the comp plan and I get numbers. Like people who are financial planners or people who are just mathematical geniuses or people who are into making a lot of money through the stock market. They get numbers. But I've had people that come in and said, this comp plan is crazy. I'm going to crush it. And I said, okay, I know you know numbers and I know you're aggressive, but do you care about people? And they're like, yeah, I care. Yeah, I care about people. But they weren't like Mickey. And I told them ahead of time, I said, okay, I know I'm right because I've seen it over and over again. If you don't switch that blasé attitude about loving on people and you think you're going to muscle your way through this with just being a numbers person, you're going to fail. You're going to fail.
Yeah.
And every single time it's happened. You have to love people. You have to want to help people. That is the core of what we do. More so than knowing the numbers.
Right.
So, Mickey, you should be successful. You should be successful if you love to help people. So that's how we work together as a team. And men and women and teammates, you can't battle each other. You really have to say, we're all in this together. And that's what I love about the comp plan. Because there is no sides. It's up and down. I help you, you help me. What's good for you is what's good for me. There is no, you can never get above me. There is no, you're always below me. It's like, hey, I want to see the people that we signed up pass us up. Because if they pass us, that means we're doing good. And I can help them to get better. So we have to look at this as a team. And Angelique and I we have argued. We've stormed out of the house. We still, to this day, there's times where we're just not seeing eye to eye because we are yin and yang when it comes to marriage, and that's what makes us work. We're yin and yang when it comes to this business, and I think that's what makes it work too.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
Yeah, that was excellent. Really
helpful. And we're huge on teamwork and working together and collaborating, so that was great.
Of course.
We have stormed out of the house.
It's essential. You know, the best thing I love about this is it really does foster that. It's really the quintessential model that I think every business should use. Because when you talk about spreading the wealth and working as a team, we are literally in this together.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So David, you give them, we have a, like I said at the beginning of the call, we got a lot of newbies on here.
Yep.
And we have them, they're really getting a taste of having some up momentum and then having some down momentum. Not so sure what they want to do in the down momentum is where, those newbies want to kind of say, oh, throw in the towel and be like, oh, you know what? So what's your best advice for these new builders that we have on this team to keep them chugging through those times, just to keep them up and just to keep them going?
Just some
Yeah. Okay. So the easiest thing is, again, to do it with an illustration. So some of you kids are younger, but there used to be a guy who remembers Johnny Carson. Does anybody remember Johnny Carson? Or am I really aging myself here? So think about America's Got Talent if you don't remember Johnny Carson, when people come on and they have these acts. So there was a guy, and he was famous for spinning plates. So he had 5 or 6 long sticks, and he'd start spinning a plate on this one, and he'd get it going, and he'd move to the next one, and he'd get it going, and he'd move to the next one, and then he'd eventually have to come back to that. And eventually he'd have them all going at the same time. And this is what I think about when I say, how do we get people to stay motivated? Well, he can do it with 5. If he had 20, he would have never got that one going at the end without this one breaking here. So this goes, it's kind of counterintuitive to how some people teach in the company. But my whole thing is what I've learned, and I've given people one piece of advice, because they always ask us, what's one thing that you guys would do differently? So when you get that question a lot, you have to come up with something that's concrete that you can stick behind and My thing is, if you get somebody, not everybody, but if you get somebody at the beginning you're excited about and they're excited, okay? There's a lot of people we get excited about, right? But they're ho-hum, they're lukewarm. So still want to watch them, but when somebody matches your enthusiasm, please, please, please do whatever you can to make sure that they are successful. Because it doesn't take a lot. That's the thing. So many people go for these huge numbers, and granted, we're excited for it, and we're incentivized to get these fast numbers. But I would rather have a core of people that are really good. Like, again, I was a sports reporter. If you can keep a team together, they're going to be really good over the long run. Rather than some of these teams that every year they get a new free agent and they lose people, and they get so every year the roster changes and they never have that cohesion. They never have that philosophy of one team, because they're like, I don't know who's going to be here next year. So when you get somebody that matches your enthusiasm and they're really excited, make sure that you get them paid and you get them coached up and you get them so they are rock solid on their own before you say, oh, you got it, and I'm moving down the road. Because you know how many times we say they got it and we move down the road and we turn around and we say, I thought they had it. I thought they were all right. I had high hopes for that person. That was my next director. That was my next executive. And they left because I got excited and I didn't make sure. It's like if you have a kid and they're riding a tricycle and you're going alongside of them and they start doing it on their own, you don't just go, okay, and leave, right? You say you're doing it on your own, and you stay and you run beside them to make sure that if they do hiccup a little bit, you're there to catch them. And then eventually they're riding and they're doing wheelies and you don't have to give them that kind of attention. But make sure you take care of those people. And the only other thing I'll say about that is you never lose your bank. As long as you stay active, right, you never lose your bank. So we have people that have been happy customers and they've fallen in and out of executive or consultant. They've fallen in and out of manager maybe, but they always continue to order because they love the product. And you never know when they're going to come back in. So always make sure that you're managing the people that you have high hopes for and that match. That's the key. People that match your enthusiasm. Don't pour all your energy into someone you think has potential that's not matching your enthusiasm, because they'll ultimately disappoint you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we so appreciate all that you and Angelique do for everybody.
Yeah, and you know, I know you guys want to leave with one last piece of advice, and I saved one thing here for you, kind of at the end as my closer. I love this company, literally, without fail, every single night, we pray a prayer of thanks for Jim and Kathy Coover and for Isogenics and the corporate staff. We literally say them by name because we love the company, okay? But it's not our mission. And you're like, what? Okay, and I don't want to blow anybody's mind here. I'm just trying to be honest with you. Love the company, love the products, love the people, would do anything, would get on a call like this after I've been in the ER all day. That's how much I love this company, okay? But we have a mission. Here's the thing. You can do both. You can love this company to fuel your mission. Maybe your mission is to send your children to college. That is a worthy mission. Maybe your mission is to retire early. Maybe it's to see Europe or go to Hawaii or buy a 1968 Camaro. Whatever your mission is, fund it. Use Isogenics. Love it. Treat it like one of your children. Honor it. Use it with integrity. But you don't have to love it. You don't have to say, well, I don't, and if people come up to you, well, I don't really love nutrition or I don't love exercise. Okay. Nobody says you have to. There are a lot of people in the company that live for nutrition, that live for exercise. That's wonderful too. We have a higher calling, a higher purpose that without Isogenics, we would have never been able to tap into. Never been able to. We would have been too busy. We wouldn't have had the financial rewards. So my thing is love on the company. Thank God for the company. Thank God for the employees and for Jim and Kathy Coover for endlessly giving. Never forget your downline. Always be willing to get on calls. Always be willing to go the extra mile because there is no better way to make a living to me in the world than network marketing. There's just no better way. But we have used it to fund what we want to do for, obviously for personal beliefs for the Lord on a greater level. Okay, they're separate, but that's our mission. Love it, mission. Okay, love Isogenics, mission here. You can do it. Use it.
David, thank you so much.
Wait, were you really in the ER today?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What? Everything okay?
It's a crazy story. I had like a little bit of, guys, listen, I had a little bit of a cold. I wasn't going to tell you, but that's how much I love this company.
Oh.
I literally got out, the call starts at 7:30 at Central Time, and I literally got out of the hospital today at 6:30. So I'm okay, but I had a little bit of a cold and I was feeling like a little bit of discomfort in my chest. So I told my wife, I go, around 1 o'clock, I go, I'm going to go to the walk-in clinic. So I go to the walk-in clinic, and I told her I have a little bit of chest congestion, this and that. So she goes, we're going to do an EKG and an X-ray. I'm like, okay. So she hooks up the EKG, and then she leaves, and she comes back to get me to do the X-ray. And as we're walking to the X-ray room, the doctor stops her and says, no need to do an X-ray here. He needs to go directly to the emergency room right now. There was something wrong with his EKG. So my world just stopped. Like, I was like, come again? Like, what did you say? Like, I'm healthy. I worked out yesterday. She's like, yeah, you have an anomaly on your EKG. So I tell Angelique and the kids, they come up there. And I've been there for the last 5 hours. Here's the crazy part. The doctor comes in and says, your EKG that we did here at the ER is fine. He goes, it looks like the lady at the walk-in clinic reversed the things on your EKG.
Oh, my God.
It gave a false reading.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's like, wow.
That's crazy.
Is a crazy story.
Praise God, though, but maybe it was a wake-up call I needed. Maybe it was something, when I sat there and I looked at it, and if we go back to guys, Rod, how important our health is, and many guys don't want to go to the doctor. Many guys are sitting there going, well, I don't feel good or this and that, but they're in their 40s or 50s. And then you go and you're like, something could be wrong. You never know. So I sat there and I said, I got 2 young daughters. I got my wife. I got a lot of goals I haven't accomplished yet. And I prayed to God. And when he came in and said it was a mix-up in the EKG, I said, praise God, that it was one of those wake-up calls where maybe I was taking life for granted. Maybe I was taking things too easy. Maybe I needed something to jar me a little bit and said, hey, you know what?
Well, that's crazy.
To work, brother.
Yeah, no, that's I'm glad everything's okay.
God works that way, right?
But I do want, hey, David, I do want you to, because everybody's going to still want to stay, I know they're going to want to stay connected with you. I know you, why don't you drop a little thing on your new booming podcast, Turned On, and just tell them what it's about, because I think this would be great for these people.
Okay. Yeah, so my wife and I, we really wanted to change people. A couple of years ago, I started writing a book because I saw in network marketing and I saw just in people, in children, in schools, in coffee shops, people were really losing the ability to make eye contact with one another. They were losing the ability to talk to one another. And I saw people with their heads down. So to me, it said we need a light bulb. We need to turn ourselves back on. We need to flip a switch and say, hey, I'm open for business. So I started writing this book, and then we started getting the idea for the podcast. Now, I thought the book would come out way before the podcast, but as books work, it's not as easy as doing a podcast. So we started a podcast, and it has nothing to do with network marketing. It has everything to do with turning the lights back on in your family, in your marriage. It has everything to do with turning the lights back on in your body, meaning getting healthy. It has everything to do with turning the lights on in your career and in what you do for a living. And then the big umbrella is the part about turning your faith on and how that gets incorporated. So we started it. We have a lot of people just come on, and the only thing we ask our guests is, what was your light bulb moment? And then we go from there. So we don't do a lot of chit chat at the beginning. We don't have any agenda. I just asked them, I go, there was a point in your life where a light clicked on for you. Maybe it was in your health. Maybe it was in your business. Maybe it was in your marriage or in your family. But whatever it is, give me your best 2 minutes, and then we'll just unpack it from there. So it's been really fun, and it's turnedon.com, and that's where we do it. And it's not a moneymaker. We're not selling anything yet. We are doing an event soon, but it's really just a passion project for us to make a difference in the world. And it may not be for everybody, and that's okay. But it's what we feel really strongly about, that if we can get people back to the dinner table and talking, if we can get people to put down their cell phones in the line at the coffee shop and interacting, if we can get neighbors to look at each other and wave again, then I think we're going to be making some progress in the world. And that's our mission. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Love
great.
It.
Congratulations on following your bliss. And that's another example, right, of what that financial opportunity and freedom can help you do. You said that you have a passion, you're giving back and restoring faith in people, and we love that about you guys, how strong you are with your faith.
I just was on the way. Thank you. I was just on the way home from the ER, and I just happened to look down, and it's an old YouTube video. I think it's like maybe 2 or 3 years old, from Denzel Washington. If anybody's seen it, doing a graduation speech, and he talks about his second thing is to fail big. He's like, if you never take any chances and you don't fail, you're never going to achieve your dreams. So that led me to think about Isogenics. It led me to think about the podcast. All of these things were foreign to me. I had no experience in them, and they were very scary. And I kind of just said, I'm willing to fall on my face and see where it takes me. So that's been a really good lesson.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, we are going to keep following you and listen to your podcast, and I'll post that on our team page, guys, the podcast, if you guys haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I feel like I still got my electrodes on my chest. Look at that.
Oh my God,
that is great.
Well, gosh, thank you for
it's been a crazy day.
To the people in this company is stellar, and we appreciate it. And everybody's been on the chat thanking you and glad that you're good and okay.
And give
I want to give you each one of you, because here's the thing. You guys are all faces in a box right now, but in every face in a box, there's a home, right? Every face, or sometimes there's two, there's a home in every box here. There's a dream. There's things that are going wrong. There's things that are going good. There's stress. Please do yourself a favor and allow yourself the opportunity to really absorb what this is. Now, not everybody that you're going to run into in network marketing, not everybody you're going to run into in Isogenics is going to be perfect, right? But it's a really good company from the top down. I mean, most of the people I met have really good hearts and they're willing to share. You know, nothing's perfect, but what I will say is, again, we can't thank this company enough, and we would do anything for them. We'd go anywhere for them and talk to anybody because we believe that each box in here deserves a chance like we got.
Oh,
It's awesome, David.
you always make me tear up.
Thanks so much, man.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Thank you.
You know, I don't look at you guys as just faces. Each one has a story, and each one deserves an opportunity. So grab it. Grab your opportunity.
Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
All right.
We'll see you
God
in
bless you guys.
Nashville.
Have a great day and night, and I look forward to seeing some of you guys in Nashville here in a couple weeks.
Yes, we can't wait.
And David, give Angelique our best.
Yes, please.
I will.
Thank
I
you.
will.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
Good night, all.
Good night,